It's Tuesday, May 10. I'm Anthony Davis. Thank you for joining us here, the only place on your Echo device where you can watch and listen to live shows and chat with hosts in real time. It's the Anthony Davis Show. It's Backchannel. It's 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, between 9 a.m. Pacific, that's 12 o'clock Eastern. And you can get involved in the show by sending a message. You can ask questions, chime in on what we're talking about, or anything else that you would like to enjoy here on your Echo device. If you're listening right now, then you can go to backchannel.tv to message me. But if you are watching on an Echo show or Fire TV, the magic word is wake up your device, then say. So the magic word is say. And then you say your message out loud, and it comes through to me here. It's very, very clever. So give it a go. Just wake it up, whatever that word is, Echo or her name, and then say the word say, and then your message. Incidentally, if you'd like us to look through the morning papers and do a review on a newspaper that is where you are, you just message me, say where you are, and we'll find the local newspaper to your area and do some analysis of the front page. That's how we're going to do it from this point. And so if you would like to join in with that, then you would be very, very welcome. Lots of people already joining us on the stream this morning. WBLS is here, Ira is here, Stacy is here. So thank you very much for spending your morning or your afternoon or indeed your mid-morning and lunchtime with Backchannel. We've got lots to look at. And I'll just look at who is subscribed currently. We're looking at Stacey subscribed, Ira's subscribed. WBLS in New York sounds like a radio station, doesn't it? WBLS New York. You are welcome to subscribe. Just hit that button. It's in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. It's a new feature. It's now active and applicable to visual device users only. So just hit that subscribe button and you're connected to the show's activity. You are a VIP with this show. So give it a go. The subscribe button is at the bottom left there, and it'll remind you about what we're up to. Some of the subjects we're going to look at today and talk about: U.S. law enforcement agencies are beefing up security for Supreme Court justices after a leak suggested they may overturn legalized abortion. Also in trade, U.S. faces a baby formula crisis as the shortage worsens. It's a very big story for those people who are looking to feed their children, with the company Abbott that has struggled to supply and is actually bringing an import from Ireland to the US, but it's taking some time. And if you are somebody who is currently needing to purchase baby formula from the supermarket and you have found the shelves to be bare, how are you coping with that? Maybe you're a nanny or you're a mum or you are even a dad who is, feeding your child with formula whilst mum is at work. You can get in touch as well and let me know in the usual way. Wake up your device, say the magic word say, and then your message. We'll also look at Lake Mead. The shrinking reservoir reveals more human remains. Police say more bodies will be found. We'll look into this true but gruesome story. And finally, in 1872, Victoria Woodhull became the first woman nominated for the US presidency by Equal Rights Party Apollo Hall. So we'll look at who Victoria Woodhull was and see whether or not she successfully won the presidency. You can probably guess the answer to that one. Probably guess. I'm Anthony Davis. This is Backchannel. Welcome to you if you're just joining. Jeremy's popped in Ohio. Hi, Jeremy. Don't forget to press subscribe in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. T is here. Netflix has joined us for the first time. Hi, Netflix. Press that subscribe button as well. I'm subscribed to Netflix. The least you can do is subscribe to me. If you'd like to... You can see the button in the bottom left-hand corner there. If you'd like to send a message, and you can see me right now, and you're watching on an Echo show or Fire TV, the magic word is say. So wake her up, say the word say, and then your message. If you're just listening on an Echo speaker and you can't see me, and you'd like to send a message, go to backchannel.tv and click join the chat. That's backchannel.tv. Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that. T, Netflix, Stacey, Ira, and WBLS New York. Currently enjoying the show, and hit that subscribe button. So where would you like to head first with our newspaper review? We've got Raymond's in New Jersey. We've got, what about Jeremy? Jeremy is in Ohio. Why don't we go to Ohio and find one of your local newspapers, Jeremy? Oh, Jeremy says hi. That's nice. Stacey says, Anthony, I'd like to 5-star you. And say something about the show. Well, yes, you can leave a review. You can leave a 5-star review or a 5-star review, or you can choose the number of stars you like. It doesn't matter. It can be 5. It could be 5. Whatever you prefer. Reflective Chimpanzee has just joined us for the first time on the show as well and is listening to Backchannel, so you can follow the show along with the speaker, and you can message me at backchannel.tv. Jeremy, where in Ohio are you? Maybe you could tell me. Are you in Cleveland? Are you in Columbus? Whereabouts are you in the Ohio area? And we'll find the local paper that is your local paper. Just hit that subscribe button in the bottom left-hand corner. Oh, you're in Wheelersburg. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, we'll find your local newspaper and we'll do a full analysis of the front page in a truly interactive way. All right, let's take a look and see if this is yours. The Akron Beacon Journal is what I have. Hopefully that's close enough for you. Let's see what they talk about here. High gas prices will stick is the headline. High gas prices will stick. Yes, likely won't be going away anytime soon. Ohio's statewide average on Monday was $4.09 for a gallon of gasoline, with the Akron area average at $4.05 a gallon, according to the latest available pump figures from the American Automobile Association, or AAA. Both state and local gasoline prices are now higher on average than they were a month ago. And a year ago, Akron area gasoline prices were selling on average at $2.88 a gallon. So how are you coping with that in Ohio? Because, $4.09 it's quite a lot. And, I do feel that some people, they really kind of feel like gas should be $2 a gallon. And from my experience coming from Europe, where gas has always been expensive, it's surprising to me because, to have such cheap gas in the first place is a privilege. So maybe you're somebody who is, suffering as a result. Stacey said yesterday I left a 5-star review and said something positive about the show. Well, I'm very thrilled that you were able to think of something positive to say about the show. That's very sweet of you. A few no names have joined us. You can change your name to a name if you'd like to. Just ask your device, say, change my name. Jeremy, we're just looking through the Akron Beacon Journal for you right now. And if you have a local newspaper and you'd like us to read the front page and analyze what's going on, then just let us know. Also on the paper, Jane Timken, she looked like a strong candidate to be Ohio's next senator. She had the endorsements of influential Ohioans, including Republican Senator Rob Portman of Cincinnati. Well, she also lent her campaign $3.5 million and raised more than $4 million, and she and her husband had long been generous donors to Ohio Republican candidates. She served as the Ohio Republican Party chairman for 4 years, while nearly all party statewide candidates performed strongly in 2018 and 2020. So there we go. Gilbert has just popped in as well. In Texas, Gilbert, if you can tell us where in Texas you are, we'll review the local newspaper where you are. We like to look at the front page and do some analysis. Terry's popped in from Missouri. Hello, Terry. Welcome to you. Nice to see you. You also can tell us where in Missouri you are, and we'll be able to get ourselves out there, and with a newspaper review, just to let you know. Okay, let's go back to the Akron Beacon Journal. A desire to learn. Dora Clark never planned on graduating from college. She just kept wanting to keep learning. She's 81 years old. She went to a segregated high school in Virginia, graduating at a time when college options for black students like her were slim to none. But in 1979, after moving to Ohio, she started taking classes at the University of Akron. And last weekend, Dora Clark graduated from college. Not only did she graduate, summa cum laude, with a bachelor's degree. That's so amazing, isn't it? Clark's story is a remarkable is remarkable to possibly everyone except her. She's not even sure how it could make a newspaper story. Well, there she is on the front page. She's 81 and graduates with honours from UA. So that's a lovely story, isn't it? It's nice to get some positive news. Which state are you in? And let me know, and we'll find a newspaper to suit. Laura's just popped in from Alabama. Whereabouts in Alabama are you, Laura? Just tell me, and I'll check out that front page and bring you the latest news where you are. Same for Gilbert, who's in Texas. Just let me know. And if you're in with a no name and you'd like to change it, then be my guest. Terry's in Missouri. Maybe we'll find a Missourian paper and have a little look at some of the headlines making the stories there. This is all bespoke news coverage for you. It's 16 minutes after 9 here on the West Coast, 16 minutes after 12 Eastern. I'm Anthony Davis, and thank you very much to you for being part of Backchannel this morning. There's a couple of ways you can support the show. If you're watching right now, and you can see the subscribe button just there in the bottom left-hand corner, just click it. Subscribing will let you know when we are going live. And we've also got some special plans coming up for those of you who are subscribed. And in fact, tomorrow there'll be a chance to win a $25 Amazon voucher for those people who are subscribed. So make sure you subscribe now. Another way you can help out is, no matter where you're watching or listening, is by leaving a review. So just go to backchannel.tv and click Leave a Review, as your positive reviews will help keep this show going. That's backchannel.tv and click Leave a Review. Yes, exactly. Okay, so what else do we have? Laura, Terry, Gilbert, thank you very much for being there. Let me know where you're at and we'll do a newspaper review for you. We do want to get on to some of our conversations this morning. We're going to look at law and trade and Lake Mead, as you know. This is U.S. law enforcement agencies are beefing up security for Supreme Court justices after a leak suggested they may overturn legalized abortion. So it's something to look forward to, isn't it? We will do a deeper dive into this conversation. Who was it in Missouri? Let's have a look. Oh, it was Terry. Terry, are you ready for yours? Okay, let's take a quick look and see what we have here. The Fulton Sun is what we're looking at for Missouri. Missouri House embraces new redistricting plan, it says. It says, with time running short, the Missouri House on Monday endorsed a newly proposed map for the state's 8 congressional districts that, if the Senate agrees, could be used in elections later this year. The plan embraced by the State House is projected to continue Republicans' 6-2 advantage over Democrats in the state's U.S. House delegation. It marked an attempt to avoid court intervention and break a stalemate with the state Senate before a Friday deadline to pass legislation. The Republicans hold large majorities in the state capital. Missouri is one of the latest states still struggling to enact a congressional redistricting plan based on the 2020 census. Republican factions have been squabbling about how aggressively to draw districts in their favor and which communities to divide when balancing the population among districts. And there's a photograph of Representative Rudy Veit, a Republican, casting a vote on Monday shortly after the Missouri House of Representatives was called into session at the Capitol in Jefferson City. He looks very old, this guy. You know, he looks very old and very white. So you can pretty much guess which way. I mean, the lack of representation in these districts is frightening, isn't it? It really is, you know. It's old white men making decisions for everybody else. Legislature has long to-do list in final week. Missouri lawmakers enter the final week of the legislation session on Monday with a long simmering tensions threatening to derail any hope of progress. So there we go. That's the latest from there. What else do we have? After finishing work on let me just read a bit more of this. After finishing work on the largest state budget in Missouri history last week, GOP supermajorities in the House and Senate hope to begin ticking through election year priorities before the final gavel falls on the 2022 session at 6 p.m. on Friday. From long-term goals, making it harder to change the Constitution through the initiative petition process, to election year additions to the agenda, blocking transgender students from participating on sports teams that match their gender identity, Republicans have all the votes they need to enact their vision for state government. Do you know, I read a very interesting little line here. Where is it? Hang on, let me see. It was a really interesting little meme about this subject. Let me see if I can find it. I can't find it. That's annoying. But if I did find it, I would bring it to you. It basically said, it was something about time zones, and it said that in Australia it's 9 a.m., in Rome it's 1 p.m., and in America it's 1946. It was really interesting, you know, where like JD's just dropped in from Washington, who I think is on the messaging service at backchannel.tv. You can do that too. Melanie's in Massachusetts and has just joined us. Gilbert's in Texas. Terry's in Missouri. Jeremy's in Ohio. Raymond's in New Jersey. Stacey's in Texas. Ira's in Moab, and WBLS New York is just in New York. JD says, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, JD, in Washington. Maybe we'll find a local newspaper in Washington and we'll be able to bring you the latest on what's happening there before we do a deep dive into our conversation about the latest news on the abortion rights story. Melanie's here for the first time in Massachusetts. Welcome, Melanie. You can message me at backchannel.tv if you'd like to join in with our conversation right now. Very, very easy to do. We're going to be looking at some of these bigger stories in a few moments. And the other thing I wanted to tell you is that Backchannel has a growing list of shows, including Haley and Alison's Good Morning. Start your morning from 3 a.m. Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern, with 2 hours of silly fun and games. Haley and Alison and producer Will have trivia, as well as the answers to your burning questions and the news you might have missed. And they're followed by Liv every day with Liv Harrison. She's here at 5 a.m. Pacific. That's 8 o'clock Eastern. You can join her every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning to celebrate the little things in life in an extraordinary way. Candid conversations, lots of laughs, and plenty of coffee will fuel you and encourage you to live every day. And you may have seen just before me was Get On Up with Jam and Renee, waking up on the West Coast, with community and conscious living. They have it all covered, from what people think to who's wearing what, and you'll leave entertained and enlightened every day, and you'll learn how to pay it all forward. So, there we are. JD, are you in Washington State or are you in Washington, D.C.? Let me know where you are. Be good to know, and then we can bring you a detailed paper review that is specific to your area. Let me just flick this little button here to make that a little smoother. Oh, Mighty Seal has popped in as well. Welcome, Mighty Seal. Nice to see you. Aaliyah and Gilbert as well. So many people joining us here on Backchannel this morning. And you're very welcome to share your location, just talk to us, and also hit that subscribe button, because that will help us help you and bring you that VIP treatment that you so readily deserve. Okay, let's... Should we jump into this subject about the U.S. law enforcement agencies? Okay, well, let's make a choice between the East Coast and the West Coast. Would you like the New York Times or the LA Times for our review right now? The New York Times or the LA Times? You just let me know. You can obviously message me via backchannel.tv. It's very easy to do. That's backchannel.tv. Or you can talk to your device if you have an Echo Show. You just wake it up, say the magic word, which is say, and then your message. Super easy to do. So just let me know which you prefer. Oh, Jeremy says the New York Times. Okay, well, thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Jeremy, have you subscribed yet? Just let me know. It would be good to get you. We're just going to get the New York Times, and then we'll bring you the full details from those front pages and see how that's happening across the East Coast. You're in Ohio, so I guess you are kind of towards the East Coast, but do you have a certain affinity with the New York Times, or is it that it's just considered a national newspaper? Because that's the thing, isn't it, about some of the larger papers. They already have a kind of national readership, even though you might not be in New York yourself. So you can let me know. Stacey says the LA Times is pretty much the best. And Jeremy says it's because it's a national newspaper. There you go. Exactly right. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's take a look at the New York Times this morning. On a victory day, Putin walks a careful line on the Ukraine war. Yes, this was very interesting. A lot of people were nervous and concerned that he was going to basically stir up trouble. And it turned out he kind of didn't. He made no claim of victory or mission accomplished, no promise that the fight in Ukraine could end soon. But as President Putin of Russia spoke in Red Square in Moscow on Monday, he also made no call for new sacrifice or mobilization, no threat of a nuclear strike, no stark pronouncement about an existential war with the West. Instead, Mr. Putin, speaking on Russia's most important secular holiday, delivered a message for the broader public that Russians could keep on living their lives. The military would keep fighting to rid Ukraine, in his false telling, of torturers, death squads, and Nazis. But Mr. Putin did not make any new attempts to prepare his people for a wider conflict. So there we go. False claims, but no call for escalation, the New York Times says. And I think there's a kind of little bit of relief there, isn't there? Because there was concern that this could be an opportunity for him to escalate the war and refer to it as something more than what it was, because he's been talking about it as being a mission, like an exercise, and rather than an all-out war. A pastor struggles as politics divide a congregation in Arkansas. Yes, it says in the fall of 2020, Kevin Thompson delivered a sermon about the gentleness of God. At one point, he drew a quick contrast between a loving, accessible God and remote, inaccessible celebrities. Speaking without notes, his Bible in his hand, he reached for a few easy examples: Oprah, Jay-Z, Tom Hanks. Mr. Thompson could not tell how his sermon was received. The church he led had only recently returned to a meeting in person. Attendance was sparse, and it was hard to appreciate if his jokes were landing, or if his congregation, with family groups spaced 3 seats apart and others watching online, remained engaged. The thing is, it's very hard, isn't it, to know what your audience is thinking during a show like this. My theory is that if there's more than one person in the congregation, then you're doing okay. He was caught off guard when 2 church members expressed alarm about the passing reference to Mr. Hanks. A young woman texted him, concerned. Another member suggested the reference to Mr. Hanks proved Mr. Thompson did not care about the issue of sex trafficking. Mr. Thompson soon realized that their worries sprang from the sprawling QAnon conspiracy theory, which claims that the movie star is part of a ring of Hollywood pedophiles. Well, for decades, Mr. Thompson had been confident that he knew the people of Fort Smith, a small city tucked under a bend at the Arkansas River along the Oklahoma border. He was born at the oldest hospital in town, attended public schools there, and grew up in a Baptist church that encouraged him to start preaching as a teenager. He assumed he would live in Fort Smith for the rest of his life, but now he's not so sure. Jesus talks about how he is the truth and how central truth is. Mr. Thompson said in an interview, "The moment you lose the concept of truth, you've lost everything." I mean, that is the concern in America now, isn't it? That there is an increasing percentage of people who are living in a parallel universe. And people that think QAnon has any value. It's very hard to converse with these people, because it's not even a thing. Yeah, you can't argue with the stupid. It's such a shame though, because it's not even worth the debate. That's the tragedy of this, because it's like they basically are so far down the rabbit hole over a subject that isn't even a thing. I was doing some research yesterday on Hunter Biden's laptop, which is also not a thing, and yet it is, to these people, it is everything. It's not even a thing. It's incredible. Okay, let's see where we're at now. Risk for states stoking prices with tax cuts. This is also on the front of the New York Times. It says in Kansas, the Democratic governor has been pushing to slash the state's grocery sales tax. Last month, New Mexico lawmakers provided $1,000 tax rebates to households hobbled by high gas prices. Legislatures in Iowa, Indiana, and Idaho have cut state income taxes this year. So there we go. Very good. Very good. By the way, if you would like your local newspaper covered, I'd be very happy to do that. Jeremy says American lawmakers are smoking crack. Well, that is probably not so far from the truth. Who's the Canadians? Oh, yeah. No, I think this is a kind of ironic reference to the fact that all lawmakers are smoking crack, hence their desire to follow the QAnon conspiracy theories. That's the thing. Stacey says Putin sucks, and Jeremy says you're hilarious, Stacey, which is nice. There's a whole conversation going on between the teams now. Appreciate that. So that's cool. Okay, let's move on a little bit now with some of our chats, and let me give you a little reminder that I'm Anthony Davis. This is Backchannel. We're here every weekday, Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock Pacific. That's 12 o'clock Eastern. And if you can see me right now and you're watching on an Echo show, then you can just wake it up, say the word "say," and then your message. Very easy to do to communicate with the show. Just wake up your device with that magic word, whatever it may be, Echo or her name, and then you just say the word "say" and then your message. You're also welcome, if you don't have an Echo show, to go to backchannel.tv. It's on any website, any browser, backchannel.tv. You can message me there. And you can leave a review there, and it's a good hub, really, for you if you don't have an Echo Show device. So give that a go. I don't remember Rob Ford. Was he the one smoking crack? Amazing. So if you would like another newspaper, you probably need to just let me know where you're at, and we can do that for you. We've got Terry in Michigan. Did we do Michigan yet? Maybe we could do that. Netflix, where are you? Anyway, we'll do Michigan. We'll find that one, and we'll take a look at that newspaper. Yeah, we'll go for Michigan in just a moment, and we'll check on that. Whereabouts in Michigan are you, Terry? Is there a certain zone or district that you might be in, if we're going to be more specific, or are you just yeah. Okay, I would try, but I'm really not interested in any of that stuff, to be honest. That's part of the problem. We're going to be looking in a few minutes after we've done your select newspapers at the story about the Supreme Court justices. This is after U.S. law enforcement agencies are beefing up security after a leak suggested they may overturn legalized abortion. U.S. law enforcement agencies are saying, I think it's the U.S. Marshals Service, they said yesterday, that it was helping the agencies normally tasked with the judge's protection. A protest was held on Monday night at Justice Samuel Alito's house in Alexandria, Virginia. Activists chanted, "Abort the court," and rallies were held outside the homes of two other justices this weekend. So we're going to look at that in a little bit more detail in just a little while and talk about how the protests have been happening across the U.S., actually. It's actually illegal to protest outside the homes of Supreme Court justices. Do you know that? Yeah, there's actually a law against it because, of course, the masses are prevented from getting too close to the lawmakers, God forbid they should actually, get too close. So this is why the Republicans have been arguing and suggesting to the Democrats that they should be arresting people because they're saying it's illegal to protest outside these homes, and they're kind of quoting the law. But the reality is that the free right to protest is also a right. So, and the other thing is, there was a very funny video yesterday on the Tucker Carlson show. He showed the video of them outside Justice Alito's house, and it was a silent vigil, like a candle-lit vigil. And he was going, "Look at this. It's disgusting. I can't even play this to you. It's disgusting." And then literally everyone was just standing there with a candle, like no one was making any noise. It was the most beautiful, peaceful protest. And the way that he was talking about it, it sounded like there was a mob like banging on Alito's front door. So you can't arrest people for peacefully, silently protesting. They weren't on his territory. They weren't on his land. They were literally out in the public street. And yet Republicans are suggesting that this is illegal and it should be prevented. So that's really where it's at. Let's go back to those papers, as I promised you. We're going to look now at the Michigan paper. We've got a choice, isn't it? Is it the Battle Creek Inquirer? Yeah, I think so. Elections expert says alleged breaches not seen before. Activities under investigation had no bearing on 2020 presidential election. Yeah, that's right, because there was no fraud. An ongoing investigation into allegations of unauthorized access to voting equipment in Michigan has expanded, indicating election deniers have carried out a potentially extensive campaign to breach voting technology in the state in the wake of the tumultuous 2020 election. In February, it says the Secretary of State's office asked law enforcement to investigate reports tabulation machines and data drives were inappropriately accessed in Richfield Township. That investigation has since grown to include other communities in the state, said Michigan State Police spokesperson Lieutenant Derek Carroll. He declined to say which communities are under investigation, stating the probe is ongoing. You see, this is what happened. The Republicans claimed there was fraud. There was no fraud. The Republicans investigated. There was nothing to find. So then the Republicans decided that they were going to try and access the voting equipment themselves because they thought that there was something to find. So they are now themselves guilty of the crime for meddling with the voting machines because they were looking for something that didn't exist. That's the whole point of this story. They've basically incriminated themselves because they are so thick. By thick, I mean dumb. There's a photograph of a person holding a Make Elections Fair Again, which is a play on Make America Great Again. It says a Trump supporter holds up a sign saying Make Elections Fair Again during a protest outside the TCF Center on November 5th, 2020 in Detroit. A judge dismissed a challenge from the Trump campaign to stop ballot counting in Michigan. The election was fair. The only thing that wasn't fair was the fact that your man kept saying that it wasn't fair because he was losing. He just lost. Yeah, my head explodes with the insanity of some of this. But I'll be honest, I'm very good at processing it in a way that it doesn't really go in. I don't put it in my heart. I have other stuff in my heart. So, that's kind of where it's at, Okay, let's move on. It says Territorial Brewing Company medals at biannual awards. So there's a beer competition also on the front of the Battle Creek Inquirer for Missouri today. And bills to create child abuse registry signed into law is the headline. A package of bills that would create a public child abuse registry was signed into law by Governor Gretchen Whitmer on Thursday. So it's saying that one of the bills advocating for the package of laws dubbed Wyatt's Law in honor of a child that was physically abused by his father's girlfriend. They say it's pretty prevalent that kids are abused by a boyfriend, a friend of the family, so this will definitely, hopefully, save some lives. So there we go. That's one of the papers for Missouri. And we have one for Massachusetts now, the Boston Globe. And that's for Melanie, who's listening in Massachusetts. Grace has just joined us in California. Hi, Grace. Maybe we'll do the LA Times for you, unless you live somewhere else in California. You can let me know where you are. So let's go back to the Boston Globe. They lead with, in bringing buildings down, risks go up. Yes, recent accidents highlight challenges inherent in the demolition industry. Erecting the tons of steel and concrete and glass that go into new buildings all over Boston. It's rife with difficulty. Taking it all down can be even more dangerous. 2 serious demolition accidents in Boston in recent weeks have left 1 man dead and 3 others injured, 1 recovering after being trapped amid rubble for hours. The incidents highlight the peril that comes with tearing down buildings in particular, which experts say is often more difficult than new construction because of the myriad of hazards involved. So there we go. That's interesting. T-safety woes lead to federal oversight. U.S. Transit Agency reveals inspection and expanded role. Women's Posse describes pre-row days. That's Posse, by the way, P-O-S-S-E, in case there's any concern with what I just said. Draft opinion on abortion prompts group to share harrowing experiences. So yeah, I mean, this is what people don't understand about, what happened before. I think people, because it was 50 years ago, people fail to have any kind of knowledge of what the America was like without Roe, Yeah, this is the concern, isn't it? That once the baby is born, the authorities kind of drop all responsibility for it. They seem to care only for an unborn child. I mean, maybe they would. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to speak too much because you may have views yourself on this. But I also recognize that, the rest of the world moved on. And to be protecting a fetus rather than offering any protections to children once they're alive just seems a little backward to me, But each to their own. Okay, let's see what else is here. Accuser details encounter with Batali. Top chef's trial opens with explicit testimony. Yes, this is a chef, Mario Bastali, who sexually assaulted a woman in a Boston restaurant in 2017. Allegedly. So that case is underway at the moment. So that's the Boston Globe for you. Hopefully that was of use. Melanie is in Massachusetts. So hopefully that was helpful. Luke has just popped in as well. Hello, Luke. Grace is here as well. Jeremy says Trump is a baby when it comes to the election. Well, yeah, I'd say more than a baby. I'd say probably a fascist. I think it's fair to use that kind of language because anybody who tries to change the outcome of an election is really the definition of fascism, isn't it? So that was the Boston Globe. Like I say, no matter where you are, whoever you are, wherever you are, if you'd like to, give me or mention a newspaper that you would like to see covered, then I'll do my best to do that for you. We looked at the Battle Creek Inquirer. We also looked at the New York Times. So depending on where you are, we'll do our best. The Fulton Sun we looked at as well, discussing the new redistricting plan there. And we did the Akron Beach Journal as well. So a very bespoke session this morning. Let's go to the Los Angeles Times next, because we were talking about, was it Grace or Luke? I think it was Luke. So let's see what's happening here on the West Coast, where I am. Putin defends invasion of Ukraine. Russian leader accuses West of provoking conflict, but doesn't call for wider war, is the headline. Yes, it says, with the international pressure mounting and his invasion of Ukraine failing to make significant advances, Russian President Vladimir Putin delivered a strident speech on Monday at an annual military parade in Moscow, accusing the US and the West of provoking the conflict and comparing it to the Soviet Union's fight against Nazi Germany in World War II. But the Russian leader stopped short of using the occasion, known as Victory Day, to mark the defeat of Adolf Hitler's forces 77 years ago, to declare an all-out war with Ukraine, as some analysts feared he would. Russia still refers to the invasion as a special military operation, which does not require a full national mobilization of resources for war. Standing in front of decorated veterans in Red Square, Putin characterized Russia as having no choice but to strike back against the expansion of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and the West's refusal to provide Moscow with security guarantees. They say the danger was rising by the day. Russia had given a preemptive response to an aggression. The parade, which included a display of military equipment, marching soldiers and a martial band, came as Western nations imposed more sanctions on Russia's hobbled economy and moved to boost Ukraine's defenses. So there we go. That's kind of that's kind of the latest out of Red Square, which is a very interesting event covered on the front of the Los Angeles Times. Some more from the LA Times in just a moment. First, though, I want to remind you that you're enjoying Backchannel. I'm Anthony Davis. It's the Anthony Davis Show. We're here live every weekday, Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock Pacific. That's 12 o'clock Eastern. You can send me a message if you can see me right now and you're watching on an Echo Show or Fire TV. The magic word is say. So wake her up, say the word say, and then your message. And if you're just listening right now on an Echo speaker and you can't see me, go to backchannel.tv and click join the chat. That's backchannel.tv and click join the chat. And it's very easy to do. Yeah, I really feel like if you haven't yet done it, and now's probably the best time. If you're watching and you haven't hit subscribe, now's a good time. Just hit that subscribe button. If you haven't sent me a message yet and you'd like to try it and you've got an Echo Show, you can easily just talk to your device. Janet's just dropped in from Maryland. Hi, Janet. Nice to see you. Welcome back. So you can easily message me by talking to your device, wake it up, say the word say, and then your message. Just looking through some more of your messages here. Thank you for these. Appreciate them. Janet, if you'd like us to review a newspaper from Maryland, then we'll be very happy to do that. That's what we tend to do, take a look through the morning papers. We're just doing the Los Angeles Times for Luke at the moment. A virus testing firm is accused of fraud, it says. Katie Strauch said she was puzzled last year when after getting her nose swabbed for her coronavirus test, she was pointed to a woman seated at the table in the parking lot. The Brentwood resident walked over and answered a few questions about how she was feeling, then headed off to work in the Fairfax district. Strauch was even more puzzled when she got the paperwork from her insurance company, which listed more than $600 in charges from Jeff Toll, MD, Inc. "Who's Dr. Toll?" she said. The Brentwood resident said she quickly phoned her insurance company and told them, "I didn't have any doctor consults." I mean, this is the problem, isn't it, with these types of doctors taking advantage of these coronavirus incidents. I think a lot of medical facilities have made a lot of money out of the COVID pandemic. Her claims echo key allegations in cases brought by Los Angeles city and county officials who've alleged that perfunctory chats with physicians were at the heart of a fraudulent scheme that reaped millions from health insurers. Same Day Health, a startup offering coronavirus testing, was accused by authorities of steering insurance patients to Toll's company for medically unnecessary consults. Well, do you know, I experienced this. I went for a COVID test, and because I said I had symptoms, the doctor came in for about 30 seconds. Literally just for 30 seconds. And that got a bill sent to the insurance company for over $350, in addition to what they'd paid for the COVID test. And it blew my mind. I was like, this is insane, you know? I really feel like America was not cut out for a pandemic, really only cut out for the healthcare doesn't extend to pandemics. It extends to making profit. And for that reason is the reason, I guess, why so many people have died in the US from coronavirus, because the system just does not support this type of event. Time staffer wins Pulitzer for stirring Afghanistan photos, it says. The Pulitzer Prize, for a photojournalist with a warrior's courage and a poet's heart. Won the Pulitzer Prize for breaking news photography on Monday for his poignant and searing pictures of last summer's fall of Kabul, Afghanistan, to Taliban fighters. Dramatic water cuts are a way of life for these areas, it says. Yes, we're experiencing another drought, as you probably know, here in Southern California. It says millions of Californians will wake up to the region's most severe water restrictions ever on June 1st, with local water agencies under orders to slash the use of supplies from the State Water Project by 35%. Many water experts say that the cuts are achievable, and that reducing outdoor watering to 1 day a week can help yield immediate savings. At the same time, researchers and water policy experts say the region needs to adapt to the severe drought because climate change, extreme heat, and dwindling snowpack will only serve to exacerbate issues in years to come. I think a lot of people are so used to this in California because, of course, there was a major drought for many, many years, and then it was lifted, and now it's back on again. But the problem is, I think a lot of people, and maybe you've got this problem yourself, your irrigation system in your garden is already set to water 3 or 4 times a week. So have you made the effort to either adjust it or maybe to get your gardener to come and adjust it? A lot of people don't even know how those things work. Because water wastage is so obviously happening here. You see it all the time. You hear people's sprinkler systems on, and when it's really not necessary. The other thing that drives me crazy is people that don't water at night. Watering at night should be the best time to water your plants, because then they'll absorb, or early in the morning before the sun comes up and dries it all out, I think that there is like an obsession with having a nice yard. It's a very American thing, isn't it? Having that picket fence and a beautiful front yard to show the neighbors that you care. And I think that is something that has continued. I think people just don't want to have to, replant and let things die. Sales of fake plants should be going through the roof right now, but apparently not. Yeah, people don't like the plastic plant. I have one plastic plant in my house, and I water it all the time and forget that it's not real. But I do feel that drought is like a way of life here in California now, and it's something that I'm very used to. For a while they stopped serving water in restaurants. Because naturally you would be given a glass of water whether you wanted one or not. And so now they've stopped doing that unless you specifically ask for water, which is kind of a clever way to save water, I guess. As you probably know, that all the water here in Los Angeles has to be piped in from literally hundreds of miles away. There really is no source of water here. It's coming in from the mountains and it's not even pumped. I think it falls naturally. I think the water makes its way from the mountains in a pipe that just runs completely downhill, that was designed and built by Mr. Mulholland, who of course gave his name to Mulholland Drive. Also, education for deaf is a new battle for parents. The Los Angeles Unified School District is poised to vote on a controversial proposal that could reshape education for thousands of deaf and hard of hearing students. A key battle in a long national fight over how such children learn language. The Oscar winner Marlee Matlin and the American Civil Liberties Union are among those urging the Board of Education to pass Resolution 029222122 at its meeting on Tuesday. Is that today? I think that's probably today. Inaugurating a new Department of Deaf and Hard of Hearing Education. The move would elevate American Sign Language alongside Korean, Mandarin, French, Arabic, Armenian, Japanese, and Spanish in the district's dual language and bilingual program. Students will be eligible to receive the state seal of biliteracy on their diplomas, and ASL will be offered as a language course in some high schools. So that's very good, isn't it? Saying that the Los Angeles Unified School District may elevate the status of American Sign Language. A grim COVID milestone nears. California deaths are poised to pass 90,000, but per capita rate slows. Do you know I've booked in to get myself a second booster tomorrow? It's not even legal, but I think I'm doing it anyway. I just feel like I'm about to travel, and I feel like it was November when I had my last booster. December, January, February, March, April, May. So that's now 6 months since I had my last booster. So really, you're supposed to get boosted every 6 months because it's a smaller dose, remember? Do you think I've done the right thing to try and book in another booster? I mean, I told them I was traveling. Is 2 boosters acceptable? Yeah. For my peace of mind, it's probably a good idea for my own peace of mind. To anybody else, it might be thought of as completely insane. I haven't yet chosen the 8 masks I'm going to wear on the aeroplane. I was thinking of just wearing a kind of a radiation suit and a yashmak. Yeah, I'm going to wear a burqa. I genuinely, I'll just tell people it's for religious reasons and they'll leave me alone. You know, fortunately, when you're doing international travel, especially back and forth to places like England, I don't think it's not like traveling Spirit where someone's going to pick a fight with you because you're wearing a mask. Yeah, I feel like everybody's different when it comes to COVID. I mean, I'm a kind of risk assessment guy. You know, like I assess risk all the time, and I make a lot of decisions based on that. And you know, I still wear a mask all the time when I'm out, even if I'm outdoors. I just feel like it's the right thing to do, but not just to prevent the virus from getting in, but also protocol. It's almost like showing other people that it's okay to wear a mask, because I think a lot of people have taken it off because they feel like they don't want to be the last person wearing the mask. But I don't really suffer from those kind of insecurities. So I'm pretty much happy to just, wear 1 or 2 or even 3 masks. I think it's coming from a metropolis like England and London, you know, where it's like collective responsibility is the essential aspect, the essential element here, you know. Yeah, I feel like if you're using public transit, which is not something many people use here in Los Angeles, and there's such a shortage of public transit across the US, as we know. There's the Greyhound bus and a few trains, but in the main, people are in their cars. So obviously, and I see people wearing masks in their cars all the time, and I just think, what are you doing? Like, it's the last place you'd want to wear a mask is in your own car. But people weirdly do wear them in their car, either because they've forgotten to take them off or because for some reason, I don't know, maybe they feel like the air coming in. I mean, I purposely close the air vents in my car so that air doesn't come in. And I've done that very consciously since the pandemic began, which you might think is ridiculous. But I feel like look, I haven't managed to get COVID yet, and I've been trying my hardest, and I've still not managed to get it, whereas, a lot of people I know seem to have had it multiple times. My neighbour opposite, I saw yesterday, he's got COVID at the moment. He's had it for a week. And he refuses to get vaccinated. And it's because he's from Oklahoma. And in Oklahoma, the attitude is different. And I've said to him, I will literally drag you down to the CVS to get you vaccinated. He just won't do it. The guy won't do it. He really is, he just doesn't. I just think I give up with these people. I don't want to go out of my way to change people's minds. I feel like everybody should be the master of their own future. But the problem is collective responsibility requires you to protect yourself from other people. He's been laying low for the last week. That was his answer. Should we do the US News Update? It's a daily podcast that we do. Oh, good. It's the US News Update is a daily podcast that I do. It's available wherever you get your podcast. You can download it and subscribe in the usual way. We're going to play it for you now. It's just 2 minutes long. Give you a little update on what's happening across the United States. Here it is. It's Tuesday, May 10. From the Volley Network, this is your daily US News Update. I'm Anthony Davis. President Joe Biden was not happy with leaks to news outlets in which U.S. intelligence appeared to take credit for helping Ukraine target a Russian ship and Russian generals in Ukraine, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters on Monday. The president was displeased with the leaks. His view was that it was an overstatement of our role, an inaccurate statement, and also an understatement of the Ukrainians' role in their leadership, and he did not feel they were very constructive, she said. President Joe Biden said on Monday he was willing to accept Congress passing separate bills to aid Ukraine to provide funding for the nation's COVID-19 response. Biden called on Congress to move the Ukraine aid first and then move promptly to pass additional funding for the U.S. response to COVID. Biden had originally asked Congress to pass Ukraine aid and COVID funding in one bill. An Alabama law that makes it a felony to provide gender-affirming medical treatment to transgender youth went into effect yesterday, while a federal judge weighs whether to grant a motion to put a hold on it. The legislation makes it a crime, punishable by up to 10 years in prison, to provide puberty blockers, hormones, and medical procedures to transgender youth under 19. Governor Kay Ivey had signed the bill on April 8. A similar but not as far-reaching law in Arkansas was blocked by the courts last year before it could go into effect. Your daily US News Update is part of the Volley Network. To hear my live daily morning show, ask your Amazon Echo device to open Backchannel. There it is. That's the US News Update. It's a podcast. You can get it wherever you get yours. I'm Anthony Davis, and thank you for messaging me. You've been doing that in your droves. This is Backchannel, and I really feel like we've got a nice little team happening right now. It's nice to know that you're there. Ken's with us, Ari, Hip Kangaroo, Gio's joined us, Classy Barracuda, a few known names as well. Stacey says Anthony's my favorite lunchtime host. Thank you very much. Janet and Grace and Luke, thank you for joining Backchannel. Stacey said it would be dangerous not to wear a mask when you're traveling. Well, yeah, this is the advice from the CDC, isn't it? That we should be wearing a mask on planes and trains. It's only a court case from a Trump-appointed judge that has prevented people from doing that. That's the tragedy of this. It's like public health is not really the issue anymore. Yeah, there was a story a few weeks ago. It was a Delta pilot, I think, wasn't it, who made an announcement on the flight saying, you can all take your masks off now. And which is very irresponsible, and I think they disciplined the pilot. And there was another Delta pilot who was walking past somebody in the airport who was wearing a mask and said, why don't you take that off and breathe some clean air or something? What this does is it shows the politics of people, doesn't it? It gives away the politics of people. I'm Anthony Davis. This is Backchannel. I'm your host here Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. Pacific. That's 12 o'clock Eastern. And this is the only place on your Echo device where you can watch and listen to live shows and chat with hosts in real time. You can send a message, ask questions, chime in on what we're talking about, or anything else you would like to send my way. If you can see me right now and you're watching on an Echo show or a Fire TV, the magic word is say. So wake her up, say the word say, and then your message. And if you're listening on an Echo speaker and you can't see me, please go to backchannel.tv and click join the chat. That's backchannel.tv and click join the chat. So welcome to you if you're brand new. Ken's in California and has just dropped in. Welcome, Ken. Nice to see you again. Ari, where are you? Maybe you can let me know. Just wake up your device and say. Stacy says we water our plants at night. Yes, we were just talking about the drought in California and how watering during the day is pointless. It's because if the sun's shining, it's just going to dry everything out straight away. We're also going to be looking at some of the big stories making the headlines. We've been looking at this protest outside Justice Samuel Alito's house in Alexandria, Virginia. Activists chanted, "Abort the court." I found something out yesterday very interesting on this very subject about President Joe Biden, who actually never even says the word abortion. And when he was pushed to say it yesterday, he made the cardinal mistake of using the phrase abort a child, which is inaccurate, isn't it? Because, of course, nobody aborts a child. They abort a fetus. And it just showed that he's he's a very religious person. And probably personally, he is not a supporter of abortion, but he knows that the country, when surveyed, 70% of the country is in support of women having the right to choose. 70%. And if this law is changed, then that will only be appeasing the 30% of evangelical Christians or whoever it is, Catholics or whoever it is that may be, or just Republicans generally who don't seem to care much for the policy. It's all about, owning the libs. Anyway, Shut Down DC, the left-wing group behind Monday's demonstration outside Justice Alito's house, said the plan was to hold a moment of silence for the rights we know are ours. Separately, an anti-abortion center suffered an arson attack on Sunday. Yesterday, the U.S. Senate unanimously passed a bill that would provide police protection to the immediate families of the 9 Supreme Court justices and other officers of the court, if deemed necessary by the Marshal's Service. The bill will still need to go before the U.S. House of Representatives. The White House said earlier on Monday that demonstrations should never include violence, threats, or vandalism. So there we go. You were talking a little bit earlier about this law that suggests that you're not actually allowed to protest outside a Supreme Court judge's house, which just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm Anthony Davis. This is Backchannel. If you'd like to send me a message, and if you can see me right now, and if you're watching on an Echo show or a Fire TV, the magic word is say. So wake up your device, say the word say, and then your message. Just wake her up, say the word say, and then your message. If you're listening right now on an Echo speaker and you can't see me, go to backchannel.tv and click join the chat. That's backchannel.tv and click join the chat. Easy to do, you see. Stacey says it's 11 o'clock Central Time right now. Yes, it is 11 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Eastern. It's 10 o'clock here on the West Coast, and this is Backchannel. Been looking at some of the latest news happening in Florida right now. The Bradenton Herald says that DeSantis signs a bill mandating school lesson on communism. Oh, man, this guy's going out of his mind, isn't he? Public school teachers in Florida will soon be required to dedicate at least 45 minutes of instruction on Victims of Communism Day to teach students about communist leaders around the world and how people suffered under those regimes. Speaking at Miami's Freedom Tower before a crowd of local lawmakers and supporters, Governor Ron DeSantis signed House Bill 395, which designates November 7 as the state's official Victims of Communism Day, making Florida one of a handful of states to adopt the designation. It is, however, the first state to mandate school instruction on that day, as Florida Republicans continue to seize on education policy while placing school curriculum at the forefront of their political priorities ahead of the 2022 midterms. I mean, the problem is these people don't know what communism even is. They don't know what fascism is. They don't know what socialism is. They don't know what Marxism is. They refer to these things as if they are all the same thing, all bad. And they have no concept of how America is already a socialist country. It has Medicare, it has Medicaid, it has Social Security. And it also has the military, the largest military in the world, which arguably is a socialist concept, where you are using state money to pay people to work, you feed them, you transport them, you house them. It is a state social policy, the military, especially if the military is not seeing active combat, which it currently isn't. And it's weird because, DeSantis is an educated and intelligent man, but this desire to be seen as a champion for far-right views. Remember there was a Nazi protest that took place in Florida about 3 months ago, and Ron DeSantis was criticized for refusing to make any statement against it. He refused to consider it to be anything other than a legitimate protest. He legitimized a Nazi protest because he himself is of a similar character. And, what about honoring victims of Nazism? Are you going to have a day to look at that? Or is that just Holocaust Memorial Day? And will you be banning Holocaust Memorial Day? And how many public school teachers in Florida will go through with this? Will they dedicate 45 minutes of instruction on Victims of Communism Day? Will they even do it? It's becoming so outrageous and so outlandish, these concepts, these ideas, these extreme views. It's so extreme. Oscar says, Oscar's joined us. Welcome, Oscar. Nice to see you. Thank you for jumping onto the chat right now. Just having another quick look across the Bradenton Herald for Florida. Tourism and economic agencies join forces to market Orlando. Yes, it says it's an idea that almost seems as compatible as Mickey and Minnie. Take the tens of millions of tourists who are thinking about visiting Central Florida's theme parks this year and sell them on the virtues of moving their companies or businesses to the region. In the half-century that Orlando has been a tourism hub, it had not been done until now. The quasi-public agencies that usually promote tourism and economic development separately in Orlando on Monday announced they're joining forces to market the region together under a single brand with the tagline of unbelievably real. The branding plan will be aimed at tourists, meeting planners, conventioneers, business relocation specialists, site selectors, business owners, and company CEOs. And around $23 million will be spent on it this year. Hiccups. Florida, because it has low or practically zero taxes, and the reason it has low taxation or no taxation, is because of all the money that comes in through tourism. So this is why people, invariably Republicans, are moving there, because Republicans typically don't like to pay tax or excessive tax or any tax. And so Florida is a perfect safe haven for them. But there is also the opportunity now to raise money through other means. Florida has lots of road tolls, for example, that California doesn't have. So, just to drive into Central Florida or Orlando, you'll have to pay like $10 on a road toll. And it's just not it doesn't happen in other places. And this is the thing, people think that they're getting a cheaper ride or a free ride, hiccups. But there is still a cost to be borne by drivers in this case. So it's very interesting. DeSantis, is one of these people. He's all smoke and mirrors, He'll make it look like he's doing good, but he's, it's like reverse Robin Hood, robbing the poor to pay for the rich. Okay, let's look at this story about the U.S. pharmacies here, which is something I mentioned earlier that we were going to look at together. It says, before we do that, I just want to remind you, hiccups, that if you're enjoying the show, there's two ways to support the show. If you're watching right now and you can see the subscribe button, please click it. Subscribing will let you know when we're going live, and we have some special plans coming up in the next few weeks for those who are subscribed. And another way you can help out is, no matter where you're watching or listening, is by leaving a review. So go to Backchannel.tv and click leave a review. Your positive reviews will help this show continue. So that's Backchannel.tv and click leave a review. Easy. Okay, let's see what's next. Oh, yes, it's this subject that I touted a little bit earlier about the pharmacies, the major U.S. pharmacies that have restricted sales of baby formula. It's in a response to a worsening shortage of the special milk. Hiccups. CVS and Walgreens are among the big chains to have imposed limits in recent weeks on how many cans customers can buy at a time. Well, the shortages intensified after Abbott, which makes top brand Similac, shut a key factory and issued a recall in February after finding contamination there. Pressure is building on the Biden administration in response to the issue. Republicans, hiccups, such as Tom Cotton, have called it a national crisis that the White House must address. Well, this is something that is, doesn't really matter for people that don't have kids, but for people that do, it is everything. And I speak as somebody who brought up two babies on formula, one of whom, my boy, could not digest or drink lactose milk. And so there was one specific formula that he could drink, and it was $40 for a can. $40 for a can of this stuff. And even more if you went online to buy it. I actually found that in the supermarket it was actually cheapest. And so, the cost of this is huge, but also the specifics of this, because if you can't find the specific formula that works for your baby, then you're kind of stuffed, because, your baby won't drink anything else. And if you're a parent and you've got a baby that won't drink, it's the most frustrating thing in the world, It says 40% of baby formula was out of stock, hiccups, in more than 11,000 stores across the country. That's 40%, compared to an out-of-stock percentage of 2 to 8% during the first half of 2021. This is relentless, relentless hiccups. In 6 states, Texas, Tennessee, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Missouri, more than half of available baby formula in stores was sold out during the week of the 24th of April. And amid fears of formula stockpiling, several major retailers, including Walgreens and CVS, have now placed limits on how much formula parents can buy at a time. Experts say that strained baby formula supplies were further exacerbated after a recall by the manufacturer Abbott Nutrition. In February, Abbott voluntarily recalled 3 of its products after reports of illness amongst infant consumers, including 2 who died. The Abbott recall particularly afflicted families who rely on public benefits, such as WIC, a special supplemental food program for low-income women and children, because the manufacturer was the exclusive supplier for more than half of the agencies administering WIC. Brian Dittmeyer of the National WIC Association said. Now, parents who are desperate to secure a regular supply of baby formula for their children are having increased difficulty obtaining a single can. I mean, this is a huge story for people that are, parents. And it's an even bigger story for children, obviously, because they're the ones that are going without. Let me take a look at some of your messages. Thank you very much for these. Nice to see you, and nice to see that you are paying attention. Let me just jump on some of your texts. Here we go. Oscar's joined us. Stacey says that's ridiculous in every way. What is my hiccups or the story? Yeah, I understand. Classy Barracuda is with us. Gio, Hip Kangaroo, Ari, Ken's here too. Lots of known names. Janet and Grace and Luke. Thank you for joining us here on Backchannel. I'm Anthony Davis. We are looking through this story about the baby formula, which is something that is becoming they're claiming it's going to become a national crisis if it isn't already. That is, many parents have been relying on the social media groups to stay abreast of inventory restocks and possible bargains. The groups have been particularly useful for parents whose children require certain types of formulas due to allergies or other medical issues, particularly in areas with low supply. Parents have been forced to travel to neighbouring states just to see if any formula is available there. It's a nightmare, says Ashley Hernandez, a mother of two. Hernandez has been procuring formula for her two girls from eBay, frantically messaging potential sellers about her requests. As the scarcity intensifies, the US Food and Drug Administration issued a statement saying it was aware of supply issues and that the Abbott recall had aggravated, especially when coupled with shortages stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic. They say the FDA is working with Abbott Nutrition to better assess the impacts of the recall and understand the production capacity at other Abbott facilities that produce some of the impacted brands. Other baby formula suppliers have said they are adjusting their operations to meet the increased demand created by the Abbott recall. The manufacturer of the Enfamil infant formula said that its factories are running 24/7 and shipped out 30% more of its formula during its first quarter of the year. Enfamil was one of the brands that I used to buy for my kids, especially the lactose intolerant one, which is just much more expensive. They don't even take the lactose out of it, They add an enzyme that enables the lactose to be not ingested or something. It's a very weird way that they do it. But as supply chain issues worsen and store shelves remain empty of formula, parents of infants are growing more uncertain about how to feed their babies. They say every day we hear from parents who are hurt, angry, anxious and scared. The lives of infants are on the line. So there we go. That's that story, which is a very big story. A reminder that Backchannel's got a growing list of shows, including Kate Cocker's Everyday Positivity on Tuesday and Thursday from 6 o'clock Pacific, that's 9 o'clock Eastern, for an hour of positive news and good vibes. Following my show every Monday to Friday is Your Pal Hal. Pardon me, with Hal Rudnick. It was a big one, wasn't it? Taking you on a tour of comedy, news, pop and culture from 11 o'clock Pacific, that's 2 o'clock Eastern. And don't forget to check out The Drive with Mario Smith, weekdays from 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. Everyone's drive home needs a second look. Mario will make sure that you are in the know. So there we go. Another reminder, because it's certainly important that if you're watching right now and you can see that subscribe button, please click it. Subscribing will let you know when we're going live, and also we've got some special plans coming up in the next few weeks for those that are subscribed. Another way you can help out is no matter where you're watching or listening is by leaving a review. So you can go to backchannel.tv and click leave a review. That's backchannel.tv and click leave a review. Your positive reviews help keep this show going. That's backchannel.tv and click leave a review. Okay, the other thing we were going to talk about was Lake Mead. This is as more human remains have been found in Lake Mead, just 1 week after the body of a suspected murder victim was found in the rapidly shrinking reservoir. The latest remains were reported to park rangers on Saturday. On May 1st, a body was found in a barrel stuck in the mud of the lake's receding shoreline. The largest U.S. reservoir, Lake Mead, supplies drinking water to 20 million people, from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, and police warn that more bodies will probably be found as the lake recedes. Lake Mead levels have been declining since the year 2000. Droughts have been getting worse in recent years, with scientists saying climate change is exacerbating the situation. And investigators say the body found last week by boaters belonged to a person who was fatally shot, in the 1970s or 1980s. So we're going to look at this story together. Carla, I was thinking, why don't we play the US News Update again, and then I can have some water, during that, because the hiccups are not going away, and I never get hiccups, so this is something that, one should probably medicate with a little glass of water. So we'll do the US News Update, and then I'll be able to go and get myself a little drink. I know you're probably watching this thinking, I wish you would have a drink.
It's Tuesday, May 10. From the Volley Network, this is your daily US News Update. I'm Anthony Davis. President Joe Biden was not happy with leaks to news outlets in which US intelligence appeared to take credit for helping Ukraine target a Russian ship and Russian generals in Ukraine, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters on Monday. The president was displeased with the leaks. His view was that it was an overstatement of our role, an inaccurate statement, also an understatement of the Ukrainians' role and their leadership, and he did not feel they were very constructive, she said. President Joe Biden said on Monday he was willing to accept Congress passing separate bills to aid Ukraine and to provide funding for the nation's COVID-19 response. Biden called on Congress to move the Ukraine aid first and then move promptly to pass additional funding for the U.S. response to COVID. Biden had originally asked Congress to pass Ukraine aid and COVID funding in one bill. An Alabama law that makes it a felony to provide gender-affirming medical treatment to transgender youth went into effect yesterday, while a federal judge weighs whether to grant a motion to put a temporary hold on it. The legislation makes it a crime punishable by up to 10 years in prison to provide puberty blockers, hormones, and medical procedures to transgender youth under 19. Governor Kay Ivey had signed the bill on April 8. A similar but not as far-reaching law in Arkansas was blocked by the courts last year before it could go into effect. Your daily US News Update is part of the Volley Network. To hear my live daily morning show, ask your Amazon Echo device to open Backchannel.
There it is, the US News Update. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Anthony Davis. It's nearly 10:30 here on the West Coast, 1:30 Eastern. We are doing Backchannel together. Hopefully you are enjoying your part of this show. Your involvement, your own involvement. I'm Anthony Davis, and this is the only place, as you know, on your Echo device where you can watch and listen to live shows and chat with hosts in real time. I'm here every weekday, Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock Pacific to 12 o'clock Eastern. To take part, to join in, to be part of the fun, then you can send me a message, you can ask questions, chime in on what we're talking about, or anything else you would like to send my way. If you can see me right now and you're watching on an Echo show or Fire TV, the magic word is say. So wake her up, say the word say, and then your message. And if you're just listening right now on an Echo speaker and you can't see me, go to backchannel.tv, click Join the Chat. That's backchannel.tv, and click Join the Chat. Thank you to you for joining in today. Stacey has to go. She said her lunch hour is up. Ken's joined us in California. Hello, Ken. Welcome. Nice to see you. Stacey, you're welcome to go. We're going to join Hal Rudnick, your pal Hal, in about 15 minutes' time and find out what's happening on his show. We'll be able to get a sense of what's happening with him. So that's Hal Rudnick. He's here he's here at 11 Pacific. That's 2 o'clock Eastern, but we'll chat with him in about 15 minutes' time. We've been looking at, I wanted to look at this Lake Mead story because it's very interesting. It's a little gruesome, I do warn you. This is something we touched on yesterday. Las Vegas, it says, is being flooded with a lot more about organized crime a law about organized crime after a second set of human remains emerged within a week from the depths of a drought-stricken Colorado River reservoir, just 30 minutes drive from the notoriously mob-founded Strip. There's no telling what we'll find in Lake Mead, said the former Las Vegas mayor, Oscar Goodman, on Monday. It's not a bad place to dump a body. Well, Goodman, as a lawyer, represented mob figures, including the ill-fated Anthony Tony the Ant Spilotro, before serving 3 terms as a martini-toting mayor, making public appearances with a showgirl on each arm. He declined to name names about who might turn up in the vast reservoir formed by the Hoover Dam between Nevada and Arizona. I've actually seen this because I've flown over the Hoover Dam. I went on a tour, and I took probably one of the best photos I've ever taken, actually. It just came out really nicely of the Hoover Dam from above, on a little plane. It was beautiful from up there. Anyway, he says, I'm relatively sure it was not Jimmy Hoffa. He laughed, but he added a lot of his former clients seemed interested in climate control, mob speak, for keeping the lake level up and bodies down in their watery graves. Instead, the world now has climate change. The surface of Lake Mead has dropped more than 170 feet since 1983. The lake that slakes the thirst of 40 million people in cities, farms, and tribes across the 7 southwestern states is down to about 30% of capacity. If the lake goes down much further, it'd be very possible we're going to have some very interesting things surface, observed Michael Green, a University of Nevada, Las Vegas history professor, whose father dealt blackjack for decades at casinos, including the Stardust and the Showboat. I wouldn't bet the mortgage that we're going to solve who killed Bugsy Siegel, Green said, referring to the infamous gangster who opened the Flamingo in 1944 on what would become the Strip. Siegel was shot dead in 1947 in Beverly Hills. His assassin has never been identified. But I'd be willing to bet there's going to be a few more bodies, Green said. I mean, isn't it crazy that it turns out that, like, the mob used Lake Mead as their preferred place to dump bodies. And now, all these years later, thanks to climate change, we're going to see those bodies for the first time. I mean, it means justice for the families, hopefully, if they can extract any DNA from these people. But secondly, it just kind of exposes an entire genre of criminality that is so part of the fabric and the history of Vegas and similar, localities. It's very interesting to me. He said, I wouldn't bet the mortgage that we're going to solve who killed Bugsy Siegel. Yeah, well, Bugsy Siegel sounds like the kind of character you would expect to see in a movie, not in real life, doesn't he? First, the dropping lake level exposed in Vegas's utmost drinking water intake on April 25th forced the Regional Water Authority to switch to a deep lake intake that it completed in 2020 to continue to supply casino suburbs and 2.4 million residents and over 40 million tourists a year. The following weekend, boaters spotted the decomposed body of a man in a rusted barrel stuck in the mud of a newly exposed shoreline. The corpse had not been identified, but Las Vegas police say he'd been shot, probably in the mid-1970s and the early 80s, according to the shoes found with him. The death is being investigated as a homicide. few days later, a second barrel was found by a KLAS TV news crew, not far from the first. That one was empty. On Saturday, 2 sisters from suburban Henderson who were paddleboarding on the lake near a former marina resort noticed bones on a newly surfaced sandbar. And there's a photograph here of these bones. And, I mean, it's really quite terrifying to see, how a human has kind of embedded itself in the what do you call it? The bottom of the lake, and how the bones, and you can see the teeth, which will be good for getting the genetic code from. But fundamentally, clearly, Lake Mead was a favourite place to dump a body. Lindsay Melvin, who took these photos, said at first she thought it was the skeleton of a bighorn sheep native to the region. A closer look revealed a human jaw with teeth. They called park rangers. The National Park Service confirmed in a statement that the bones were human. There was no immediate evidence of foul play, Las Vegas police said on Monday, and they're not investigating. A homicide investigation will be opened if the Clark County coroner determines the death was suspicious, the department said. Wow. More bodies will be discovered, according to the vice president of the Mob Museum. I love the fact that the mob people in this, they all seem to know. They're like, yeah, you're probably going to find so-and-so, and you'll probably find this person or that person. This is a renovated, historic downtown Las Vegas post office and federal building that opened in 2012. That is now the Mob Museum. I'd be a little bit scared to go into the Mob Museum personally. I don't know why. Just get the feeling that you're probably being watched in there, You go in the front door and you end up in the river. They say, I think a lot of these individuals will likely have been drowning victims, referring to boaters and swimmers who've never been found. But a barrel has a signature of a mob hit, stuffing a body in a barrel. Sometimes they would dump it in the water. So, yeah, this is the problem with these types of murders, is that they're often very gruesome. And, as is the case of, doing away with someone or getting rid of someone, it just becomes kind of disappears into folklore, doesn't it? Or disappears into the bottom of Lake Mead. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on this story. I have a feeling that we're going to hear a whole lot more about it. Because, of course, when they start to go back and look through history and see that there are people missing, and they put 2 and 2 together, you're going to probably hear this story come up time and time again now. It's very interesting. They say whatever stories emerge about this body in the barrel, Goodman predicted it will add to the lore of a city that, with lake water, spouted from a creosote bush-covered desert to become a marquee gambling mecca. He said, when I was the mayor, every time I went to a groundbreaking, I'd begin to shake for fear that somebody I may have run into over the years will be uncovered, he said. We have a very interesting background. It certainly adds to the mystique of Las Vegas. I don't know about that. I really feel like it's a tragedy, I think it's a tragedy. And some people seem to be so immune to the idea of people being bumped off. But I don't feel immune to it at all. I think it's a tragedy. Mustafa's joined us. Hello, Bustling Spider is here. Wary Emu has joined us as well. Oscar 2, thank you very much for joining us on Backchannel. I'm Anthony Davis. You can message me at backchannel.tv. That's backchannel.tv. We're going to catch up with your pal Hal in just a few minutes. A reminder that you can help us out by going to backchannel.tv and also clicking the Leave a Review button. Not only can you send us your thoughts on the show, but you can also leave suggestions for upcoming segments as well. So that's backchannel.tv. Click Leave a Review. I actually got married in Las Vegas, so, yeah. I got married by an Elvis impersonator in the Graceland Wedding Chapel in Las Vegas. I did the full Las Vegas cliche wedding, with a long stretched white limousine and the whole ping pong, and I dressed in white, all in white, including a white Converse boot, and my fiancée dressed in grey, as if she was the groom and I was the bride. It was a lot of fun. The whole wedding lasted 4 minutes and 37 seconds. And I know that because I have the video to prove it. And up until that point, it was the best day of my life. Up until that point, best day of my life. Loved it. Found Vegas to be very interesting. I missed that. Say that again. Yeah, up until my 2 children were born, obviously. That's what I was going to say. But that's the point, isn't it? You have kind of benchmarks for where you're going to get to. I actually was surprised that Las Vegas was a whole lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. The Strip, I always thought would be like 4 lanes of traffic, 2 in each direction. And when I got there and I saw it was 8 lanes of traffic in each direction. 8 lanes of traffic in each direction. It's a bit like a theme park, It's just entering into like Disney, and where suddenly there's all these hotels that are all themed differently. It's like a huge theme park. And I enjoyed walking from hotel to hotel and walking through. The Venetian was the best one. That was the hotel that I thought was most interesting because it's a replica of Venice. And so you can take a gondola. And, the sky, they're indoors, they've created a sky, like an infinity sky. And you feel like you're outdoors. I mean, I've been to Venice, and I'll be honest, there wasn't much in it, And apart from like 3,000 years of history, obviously. But I have no desire to go back to Vegas, particularly. I was there for 3 nights, and I stayed in the Bellagio, which was a nice hotel. But I don't know, it's like a novelty, It's a bit like going to Disneyland, You go for a laugh and you go for the food is huge. The wastage, that's the thing I struggle with. I really struggle with food waste. And to see the wastage there, with these huge buffets and where they're probably throwing away more food than they're selling, And that made me kind of sad. Oh, I wanted to mention, just before we talk to Hal, that in 1872, Victoria Woodhull became the first woman nominated for a U.S. presidency. The first female stockbroker on Wall Street also. She achieved remarkable success in finance, journalism, and politics. A spiritualist, suffragist, and free love advocate, Woodhull was an iconoclast who fought for her beliefs, no matter how controversial they were at the time. She was born in Homer, Ohio, in 1838 to parents Reuben Buckman Claflin and Roxana Hummel. And so basically this person, I kind of set it up as a quiz earlier, and I said, we'll find out if or she didn't, or if she did become the US president. And you'll be surprised to discover that she did not. She did not, tragically. The closest we got to a female president was probably Jimmy Carter. Yeah, everybody should know about her. Everybody should know about her. But tragically, such is life and such is the culture that these people, they disappear, don't they? She also made history in 1872 when she became the first woman to run for President of the United States. The new Equal Rights Party, which Woodhull was instrumental in establishing, nominated her for president, and abolitionist leader Frederick Douglass for vice president, although he never acknowledged the nomination. In a letter to the New York Herald announcing her campaign, she wrote, "While others argued the equality of woman with man, I proved it by successfully engaging in business, while others sought to show there was no valid reason why women should be treated socially and politically as being inferior to man. I boldly entered the arena of politics and business and exercised the rights I already possessed." Yeah, so there we go. She wasn't even 35. It says, nearing bankruptcy and divorce from her second husband, she moved to from Claflin to England in 1877. She married a banker and tried to distance herself from her past controversies. Yeah. Yeah, she's a badass, as they say. So there we go. There's a nice photograph of her there. You can see her looking amazing. And I love that outfit as well. It's superb. Okay, Hal, you're welcome to join us at any point, as and when you are available. I'll continue telling you a little bit about this little story here. Hang on, let me just click this. There we go. It says, aside from her sex, Woodall was not yet 35, the minimum age to assume the presidency. Woodall's political reputation was declining. Her radical views supported free love, communism, and spiritualism, alienated many. And suffrage leaders distanced themselves from her. Further, her newspaper's publication of the Beecher affair about the resulting obscenity charges meant that Woodall faced legal trouble and scandal at the time, even spending Election Day in jail. Legal issues lasted for several years, forcing Woodall and Claflin's Weekly to shut down publication. So there we go. That's kind of her story. And again, another one of these great American heroes that we hear about, and then that's kind of it, you know. A reminder that this is Backchannel. I'm Anthony Davis. There's two ways to support the show. If you're watching and you can see the subscribe button down in the left side of your screen, please click it. Subscribing will let you know when we're going live, and we have special plans for people who are subscribed, the VIPs coming up. Another way you can help out is, no matter where you're watching or listening, is by leaving a review. So just go to backchannel.tv, click leave a review. Your positive reviews help this show go. So please go to backchannel.tv and click leave a review. I'm here every weekday, Monday through Friday, so you can come back tomorrow and we'll meet each other again. To do that, just wake up your device and say to it, open Backchannel. That's open Backchannel. Hal is here. Hello, my friend. Welcome.
Pleasure to see you, Anthony. How goes it?
Pretty good, apart from the 40 minutes when I had hiccups during this show. And
I had hiccups either last week or the week before, and Travis gave me some tremendous advice.
What was that?
That got rid of them straight away.
Well, tell me. I mean, I had a sip of water and they went away, but I don't really have water here because I don't like to drink liquids when I'm working.
See, I need to drink constantly while I'm working.
Right.
Just to, I don't know. It's a crutch. Like if I don't have coffee, at least to sip on, psychologically, I create a barrier for myself. But
that's interesting.
But Travis suggested that I hold my breath for 5 or 10 seconds, then drink water while I was holding my breath, and then hold my breath again. And lo and behold, it worked.
That's amazing.
It worked.
Well, I just had some water. I mean, I have emergency water here, so I don't drink from the emergency water. I have earthquake water here, in case there's an earthquake while I'm stuck in my little studio. So I wouldn't normally open it, but I opened it today because it was an emergency. And just a few sips of water and the hiccups were gone.
Well, I consider you a very lucky case, Anthony, because usually it's not that simple to rid oneself of dreaded hiccups.
I also have a little portable toilet down here as well. Do you have one
I
of
know.
those
I've seen it before. It's one of those collapsible tubes. You're very proud, a little too proud of that, some might say.
One day I'll use it and not turn the camera off, and that's when the show will suddenly become very successful.
Oy vey. Well, if we wouldn't be able to tell, like you could, it's the kind of thing. If it's below the desk, then we're none the wiser.
This is true. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what goes on below the desk. Just ask Bill Clinton.
I'm not going to touch that one.
Okay. I can see you physically backing away from that. Yeah.
Yes. I've worked so hard to keep my show PG-13.
Yes.
So
my show is rarely PG-13.
Yeah. Oh, do you? What is it? Usually rated G?
I'd say
R?
Sometimes it's an 18. I mean, I sometimes don't feel old enough to be on the show myself. So
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It's too much for me. I mean, I'm a very
The
simple
world is
man.
too much. The world is overwhelming, Anthony.
Yeah. Did you hear yesterday we were covering this story about George Carlin and a speech that he gave in 1996. It was a set that he was doing on stage about abortion and how it's now like doing the rounds as a meme because it just makes so much sense now in 2022.
Yeah, I know the one you speak of. I think it's, Republicans, conservatives will fight tooth and nail for the unborn.
Yeah.
Once you're born, thank
nothing.
you. You're on your
That's
own.
right. Yeah, it's very interesting, and so it's interesting what's kind of reappearing on Instagram and the like. This old material. But is George Carlin still alive?
No, George Carlin passed away probably about 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
And a legend, though. One of the, not afraid to speak truth to power and really coming from the right place on a lot of issues. One of these people that, he's able to hide the medicine in the ice cream. He's able to make you laugh, but in addition, make you think. And it's like, oh. But so, yeah, he's absolutely. I asked some folks on Twitter to name your Mount Rushmore of comedy. Mm-hmm. Either comedians or stand-up comedians, and George Carlin was consistently on people's top 4 list.
That's very interesting. I feel like comedians who are of a previous generation, because I was watching Jackie Mason on YouTube yesterday.
Oh, Jackie Mason!
Yeah, and I interviewed him once in London years ago. And it's the only time I've ever interviewed somebody where the recording didn't come out.
Oh.
It wasn't recording. I thought it was, and it wasn't. I did this whole thing with him. I even bought him like a cream cheese and lox bagel beforehand as a sweetener.
Oi, tremendous.
And he said, I'm not allowed to eat this. He said, shut the door and I'll eat it, because he didn't want his assistant to see him eating it.
Oh, gotcha.
And he was promoting a show in London. But, it's a very interesting thing. I think you'll appreciate this. I chose a random YouTube of Jackie Mason live, and it was of him at the Royal Opera House in London. And he played London all the time. We had a big following there. And they were complaining, like 10 minutes into his set, the audience starts shouting out at him. And his show is not a shout-out show, so it was a bit weird. And he eventually worked out what it was, that they couldn't hear him. And so they were shouting, "We can't hear you, Jackie, we can't hear you." And so then he does this whole thing, they bring out another microphone, blah, blah, blah. When I went to see him, I've seen him twice live, neither times could we hear him. And both times they had to, adjust the sound. And I've been thinking about this a lot, and it turns out that Jackie Mason is one of these people that has no voice. He can sing. He's a cantor. He can project when he sings.
Yes.
But when he talks, it's all like this. So he has to speak very quietly.
It's low.
Not a chance.
He's not projecting to the back of the room.
He can't do it. It doesn't suit his comedy, because his comedy is all about it's done under the breath. So there's no chance you can hear it. And
listen,
so
it's an aside between you and me.
That's right.
You, me, and these 4 walls.
It doesn't work in a theatre. So he was wearing a little lavalier microphone. That wasn't picking him up. So they had to give him a handheld, which he really had to talk into. But it's just so funny that on this YouTube video that I randomly chose, exactly the same thing was happening at the Royal Opera House than what I'd experienced both times in the theatre. I
saw him with my mother on Broadway, and no microphone issues. We could hear him fine from start to finish.
That's all I wanted to know. What's coming up on your show, Hal?
We'll take the temperature of the world at large, go over some trending topics, talk a little bit of pop culture, and then there will be nonsense. There will be nonsense in addition to some of the goings-on in the world.
So please. Okay. Thank you. All the best to you. See
you as well.
Yeah, and hopefully some shenanigans as well. I'll be looking out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. That's Hal. He's your man. He's here in about 5 minutes' time here on Backchannel. And I'm Anthony Davis. I'm back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock Pacific. That's 12 o'clock Eastern. A reminder that you can wake up your device and say open Backchannel and join me then. Have yourself a really great Tuesday. Bye for now.